Hi, it's Peggy at Headshots by Peggy, and today John SWANBECK is going to join me, and we are going to talk about self-tape auditions.
Well, I have a joke for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Why did the film camera break up with the actor?
Why did the film camera break up with the actor? I don't know.
Because the actor wanted to get serious and the film camera was just looking for a little action.
That's good.
You like that?
That's really good.
Well, it's funny not only because it's funny, but because it has the ring of truth to it. You know, actors love to be serious about their work, and they love to be serious about their process. And I've been, everyone's been doing, I've been thinking lately, because I've been noticing how everyone is doing self-tapes on camera and online submissions. That's the big thing. And then they publish them on social media for all of us to enjoy. And I'll watch some of them. And it got me starting to think about there's a big disconnect between what I see them doing in a lot of their self-tapes and what they should be doing for any audition. And it is that they're very serious about their process. And in a lot of their self-tapes, their audition is about their process. It's about showing us how good they are at their process. And actors, love to break down a script into beats and moments and transitions and line intentions, and they have a whole map for how to do the script. And then they're coming to auditions and they're putting those on camera. And the point of an audition is, well, it's a job interview to see if actors know how to make a film take work. And their process, by showing us all of these things they're doing, these beats, their moments, these transitions, they're advertising, I don't know what I'm doing on camera. I don't know how to make a film take work. And, directors aren't looking to hire actors that they can then, who are really good at the process, and then they can take them and sort of walk them by the hand into the film frame and show them how to make it work as a film take. It's not what actors are looking for. It's a job interview to see if you know how to make a film take work. It's like when a director hires a DP, they're not looking to hire a cinematographer. They can they can show how to light a shot or move a camera. They want someone who knows how to make something look like a movie so they can have a good time making a movie with them. And it's the same thing with actors. And I know that actors are taught, somewhere along the line, they're taught the director will take care of it. You just be very good at your process and the director will make it look like it belongs on camera. No director is going to do that. The director wants to make a movie. It's not their job to do that. It's the actor's job to do that. So I'll watch some of these tapes, and they're very strong actors, very skilled, very strong, and yet they look like actors acting. They look like actors in an acting class. And there are a lot of casting directors in this town, everywhere actually, who, when they watch self-tape submissions, this is basically how they'll watch it, because these are very busy people. So they'll be typing away on something here, doing some work, and they'll have an assistant feeding tapes into a computer, and the volume is muted. And they're working away, and one tape after another, and they look up, no, hold on, turn up the volume. It's because they can see already that the actor knows how to make a film take work. And if you look like you don't know how to make a film take work, no one's going to hire you. Because your job is to be a filmmaker. You're a filmmaker who's also an actor, just as there are filmmakers who are DPs and filmmakers who are whatever. But that's the thing I've been noticing. And when they break up their script into all kinds of beats and moments and transitions and bring it to the frame and show it to us, they're just advertising. They're saying, hire me, I don't know what I'm doing. So I've been seeing a lot of these, and it breaks my heart, because these are actors who have a lot, they look like they have a lot going for them. A great essence, they're strong, they've got delivery skills, but there's too much going on, too busy. There's too much activity. They're not composed. You know, you're a photographer. You want something to be composed in the frame. That's like a painter's frame. And actors are just in there and they're moving a lot because their process has them moving a lot. And so they look like they don't belong there. I could blow any actor's mind right now by saying, no screenwriter in the history of film, including them, and a lot of them are screenwriters, no screenwriter in the history of film has ever sat down to write a screenplay and thought, okay, where are the beats and where are the moments and where are the transitions and where's the line intention? And if it's not there, what are they doing by bringing it to the table? And filmmakers don't wake up in the morning and say, morning of auditions, and say, I hope someone comes along who's really good at beats and moments and transitions. They want someone who's going to be real. Now, actors will also use the word real, but they use it differently than filmmakers do. Filmmakers mean real characters, real human beings, and actors mean real moments. And the two are absolutely not the same. But a filmmaker will wake up and say, I hope somebody can create the character. I hope the character walks in the room. That's what they say. I hope the character walks in the room, not somebody who's really good at the process. So I've been looking at these lately, and it's just breaking my heart, because you can tell they're really strong, but they just don't know how to be composed in the frame. They don't know how to be focused in the frame. They don't know really how to use their eyes on camera, because a lot of what they're doing is pushing the audience away from looking at their eyes versus let the audience in. Again, you're a photographer, you know this too. When we look at something on film or television or on camera, we're looking at the eyes. And I think actors are skittish or afraid to show us their eyes because they think if they stand still for too long, it's going to be boring.
I can see that. But what you said, I mean, your eyes are the door to your soul. That's, a cliche, but it's true. That's how people connect. That's how humans connect to one another, is through the eyes.
Great point.
And if you can tell if I'm looking right at you. You can tell if I'm, looking off. If I'm talking to you in a room and I'm just kind of half listening to you and I'm doing something else, my mind's somewhere else, you can tell by my eyes. And I think that's what you mean, is a lot of these, sometimes I've seen people self-tapes, and what I think I'm seeing in their eyes is they are trying to remember the lines, and you can see when an actor is thinking about the lines and not being present in the scene. Is that kind of on lines of what you're saying?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, I like what you're saying about the eyes, because you and I have been talking right now, and as I've been talking to you, I'll occasionally look off because I'm thinking about a thought, and you looked off once or twice. People don't do that on camera. They don't do that in film and television. If they were looking off all the time, they may look off occasionally, but if they were looking off all the time, it would look really weird.
Right.
But people in life will do it. But the camera, as we know, the camera is not, it's not there just to record real life. It's an art form.
Exactly.
And you're absolutely right. The whole story gets told through the eyes. Everything gets told with the eyes. And so characters on camera, they look at each other more consistently than we do in life. And they know how to let the audience into their eyes. They know how to tell the story with their eyes. A lot of, our favorite film and television actors, a lot of what they're doing is with their eyes, and they know how to work that on camera. And if an actor does a self-tape submission and shows us that idea, that alone could make somebody look like they belong on camera. That alone could make somebody look like they know what they're doing. Just keep eye contact and know how to create and tell the story with the eyes. That would go a long way in showing us that they know what they're doing. I think if you're going to create with your eyes on camera, it's about your imagination. It's really what you're seeing in your imagination that translates to camera. But because actors are putting in so much business, they put so much on a script because they're afraid of not being interesting, we don't end up looking at their eyes most of the time. And people are not going to forgive these things. When they look at self-tapes, people are not going to forgive these things. And then, actors are very intent about, like I said, being real, but not real the way filmmakers think about being real. Very intent about being real, and so they end up not really making vivid choices because they're afraid of being too big. They're afraid of, they were told, don't be too big or you'll be fake.
Mm-hmm.
And so they end up really not creating anything, really not creating a choice because they're obsessed with being real. So they're either too busy in the frame, or they're not creating enough just emotion and enough profound thought. And like I said, it breaks my heart every day when I see this. It breaks my heart when I see filmmakers, when I see actors putting out these self-tapes to filmmakers because they're really good. And no one's told them along the way how to just do those very simple things.
So what would you say is the best way for an actor to let go of that and be able to tell the story and use their eyes and like?
Well, it takes practice. Like when you said you could see somebody trying to think of their lines. You and I have talked about this before. Best advice I can give to an actor is to live on camera so that it never looks like you're nervous. But a lot of actors don't really develop an understanding of what we're talking about because, again, they're told, oh, the director will take care of it. Some actors don't even like the camera. They just find it an impediment to their work. But if they spent more time on camera, we wouldn't see that they're nervous all the time. And I don't care how many times you do a self-tape submission, we can tell if you've done something 1,000 times. We can tell.
And I say this over and over and over, but everybody has a video camera. Everybody has a cell phone. I do not know one person that does not have a cell phone. So there's no excuse to not be doing this every single day, whether you have an audition to submit or not. If you want to do this for your job, this is your living, this is your career, you should be doing this every single day. You should know how your expressions come across on camera. You should know how your voice comes across on camera. You should know how your emotions come across in camera. I think we laughed about it one time before. Sometimes people think they're serious. This is my serious look, but it's actually comes across as an angry look or whatever. But that if you videotape yourself and watch it every day,
Right.
And I know you pull out that camera and you can be having just a great conversation and somebody pulls out a camera and the whole room just like, I get it. But if you're used to it, which you should be, if this is your life, you're an actor, you shouldn't be horrified of the camera. And I get it in my studio all the time because a still camera is even more intimidating for actors a lot of times than the video camera. But but the more you do it, the more relaxed you are and the more natural it appears. And even if it's, um, you realize, hey, I need to stand this way or this way, but it's not awkward when you do it over and over because it becomes more natural. And I know that when I lean back, it makes me look, not connected and blah, blah. So I know I need to set forward. So then that becomes natural when you get used to doing it, and it doesn't look forced after you realize this is how I'm supposed to be on camera. And then after the repeating and repeating, it becomes natural.
Yeah, being on camera isn't natural.
Exactly.
It's not natural to anyone.
The camera lens does not see things the way the eyeball sees things. A camera lens has warp to it. It has different depth to it. So you have to know how your body, I was just telling Merrick, because he's doing a Zoom later, and we were just, making sure the framing, and he sat down and he put his hands up like this, and I go, don't do that in the meeting. And he says, why? And I said, because your hands are closer to the frame. And I said, just trust me, don't do that. It just looked really awkward. And, it's just little things like that you realize once you've done it, like, oh, the camera sees this different than the human eye sees it. So I need to move my body so that I look good to the camera.
Right.
Versus what you would do in your everyday life.
Right. You wouldn't be naturalistic on camera because it doesn't look good at all. And a lot of actors like to be naturalistic on camera because it makes them feel like they're spontaneous and they're real and they're not being self-conscious. And then they end up, doing things like Merrick was doing. He's a very impressive person, but all he has to do is slouch with his hands folded like that, and suddenly, it's gone. I think you're right. I think it's really important that actors realize the camera looks at things differently than the human eye.
Exactly.
It's art. It's photography, and composure has a lot to do with it. Utter simplicity has a lot to do with it. Actors, because they're afraid of being boring, they like to do a lot all the time.
Exactly.
And that doesn't look real. It might be real in life to be naturalistic and to be relaxed and to not think about the camera. That might feel real, but on camera, it doesn't look real. What looks real on camera is not natural in life. So if you compose yourself and you're thinking about the eyes the way we're talking about, and you're expressing yourself with utter simplicity, then you're going to look natural on camera. You may not feel natural at all on camera. And I talk to actors after they've done something on camera, and I'll adjust them to work with them to show them how to do it on camera, and they'll just shudder afterwards because it feels terrible to them. And they think, oh my gosh, that was horrible. I felt so stiff. I felt so boring. And everybody in the room that's amazing. But they're taught to have it feel a different way.
Uh-huh.
They're taught, that whole idea of naturalism. And a lot of actors love naturalism, but naturalism doesn't work on camera. It's a mess. It's a complete mess on camera. And you can't even edit it together because every time we cut back to you, you're in a different part of the frame. Your hand's going to be there. This is going to be there. So the only way the only way you can edit something together is if it's composed in such a way that every time we cut back to you, you're going to be pretty much in the same place.
Right.
Nothing's everything. We've all seen film and television where there's movement, but that tends to be movement that comes out of a natural expression of emotion versus I'm moving because there's a beat or a line transition, or I'm trying to look spontaneous and real. I find it to be the biggest disconnect between what actors are trying to do and what they're actually getting to do. And the competition is so fierce out there. They can't afford to be that casual about the camera. And it doesn't take a lot. I can show actors hundreds of things about how to create for the camera. But just in terms of being cinematic, of looking like you belong there, doesn't take a lot to adjust an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with actors before where really good actors who look like they have no idea what they're doing on camera, so they end up looking weak. And then you make a few camera adjustments. I'll make a few camera adjustments, and then suddenly they look amazing. And they were an amazing actor all along. They just didn't understand that medium. I think in many cases they're sort of taught not to like that medium. You know, like I said, like it's bad. It'll make you feel stiff. It'll make you feel boring. It'll make you feel, you know, too constrained. But when they do it, when they finally start to develop a sense for the film frame, it's powerful. It feels, it's almost otherworldly. It feels completely different than natural life. It feels really, really powerful. Like they possess something really intense. But really just getting them to do the transition, you know, to the film frame, that's the difficult part.
And I feel like this is the world we're in now, and there's going to be a lot of self-tapes moving forward. There's probably going to be Zoom auditions moving forward. You know, this is what we're doing right now, maybe what's going to be happening in the casting office for a while or forever, I don't know. But this is, you have to be comfortable with this kind of format. You have to be comfortable with, you know, being in front of your camera, being in front of, you know, at home, knowing that you can give 100%, because this is your new job interview format more than likely.
You're right. For the foreseeable future, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I think when actors get into it, they can really get into it. I know you hear of actors all the time saying how much they hate being on camera initially, but when they figure it out, and they figure out how powerful it can be to be on camera when they're being very simple and they're creating internally versus externally, they love film acting. They just love it. And they just need to make that transition from, you know, when they're not thinking about it, when they're doing it really well. But I think you're right. I think this is the future of what we're doing, and they really need to master the medium.
Yeah. And like you said, it's fun and powerful once you find it, once you find that place that you need to be in. I laugh all the time if you know, go back and look at my original vlogs, because yeah, I'm never told anybody I was an actor. I've always been the behind the camera person, but my original vlogs was like, you know, deer in headlights. I was horrified. And I mean, the amount of stress my original vlogs were like 8 minutes tops. And it was just me giving a little, and it would take me hours to do. And it was just horrifying for me. It was just miserable. And now it's like, oh, okay, we're going to do a vlog. And, you know, you flip on the lights and turn on the camera, and we sit down and have a great time. And, you know, I think about those times originally, how horrified I was in front of the camera, to it's just a couple people talking, you know, and that's, you know, the more used to you get being in front of it, you know, obviously there's little things I'll watch and go, what was I sitting like that for? What was that expression I made? Or, you know, whatever. But generally it's just like, oh, it's two people talking, and that's how you should be. You already have your lines memorized. You've done all your stuff. Now you go and give that to the camera you give that so that you can share it, and you know this and that, you know where your eyes need to be, and you can give that, and it's fun and it's powerful, and and we all love, I mean, if anything, I have decided that I really like TV this quarantine. I don't know, I've always said, I take it or leave it. Like, there's a couple shows I'm into, whatever, but I have watched so much TV in the last 3 months. But what would we have done without it? And there's things that that I never thought I would watch, that I would watch and we would be entertained by it, or we would, discuss why it was so horrible and what they should have done, or, whatever it is. But, what a powerful medium. What a powerful medium.
Yeah. So I think what I think actors, I'm trying to think of, like, I'm trying to make up a little kit, for actors to take on them when they do their self-tapes. And I've been trying to record it on my phone, and I always like to get everything into a minute or less for social media. And I'm known a little bit now for these 1-minute videos that I can do. But this kit that I'm talking about, I cannot get into 1 minute. It's too long. But I think there's a couple of things actors can do before they do their self-tapes. One is if they inhale deeply and hold their breath. And hold, when you inhale, all of the energy in your body becomes focused. And so if they inhale deeply until all the energy in their body becomes focused, and then keeping the energy of their body focused, and they let out their breath slowly, but keeping their energy focused. And then keep that energy focused during the scene, they'll instantly look like they know what they're doing on camera. Because they'll be composed. And it's not that you can't move, it's just keep that energy focused as much as you possibly. Keep it focused the whole time while you're talking. And you'll instantly look like you belong in the film frame. Instantly. Because it's composure. And so that's very powerful if they do that. I think when they're acting with the other person, if they think about the fact that they're in a tunnel, and I'm at one end of the tunnel and you're at the end of the tunnel, and all of my moments need to go down the tunnel toward you. They can't go over here like this. They have to stay in the tunnel. That'll make somebody look like they belong on camera instantly. Utter simplicity, because simplicity is power on camera. Absolute utter simplicity will make somebody look like they belong on camera. They create 10 things and play one. They'll look like they belong on camera. And you just talked about the camera, we were talking about picking up on everything. If an actor creates 10 ideas on camera and plays one, it's the other 9 the camera's going to find interesting. And that will make an actor instantly look like they belong on camera. Creating 10 things and playing one, and trusting that the other 9 are going to be there and the camera's going to love the other 9. And then what I call completing each other's sentences. Because in life, I'm talking, and you're just waiting for me to stop talking so you can say something, and then I let you talk for a little bit until I either interrupt or you finish talking, and then I'm going to talk. But if actors can take that and apply it to a scene, then they're simply connecting each other's sentences. So you want to think about, I have the first, if there's 2 lines and mine is, hello, how are you? And yours is, I'm fine, how are you? It's not delivered, hello, how are you? And fine, how are you? It's, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? It's delivered like you're completing each other's sentences, which is what we do in life. So it creates conversational flow. a lot of the actor's process, and it ends up with the actors not being conversational. So again, they don't sound real. So if they just worry about concentrating and completing each other's sentences, we've all heard in life, oh, those two belong together. It's like they finish each other's sentences. So it creates instant relationship, and it makes actors look like real human beings on camera. They can pause once in a while, but conversational flow, a focused physical energy, conversational flow, utter simplicity, and creating 10 things and playing one. Just those few things alone are going to make them look like they belong on camera. They might hate it initially, but I think they should compare the before and after.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to get it.
I agree. I think that's very helpful. So what is your advice when you need a reader and you're having to do a reader, like say you're doing a scene and I'm reading for you here through Zoom? What is your advice? Because sometimes I think that's tough to get that conversation when you're not in the same room, when you're like doing it through a speakerphone or FaceTime or something. Do you have any tricks or advice on that part of it?
I was just thinking about this the other day because I encountered this. And I could tell right away the other person's on the phone. And we're aware of that. So we either have to wait until we're all so used to it we don't think about it and it's not distracting, or figure out what to do in the meantime. Right now it's distracting. Everybody thinks, oh, the other person's on a phone. You can get the best, somehow get the best audio you possibly can. But there's a thing that actors like to do when they're reading with each other anyway, which is they like to help each other. So they like to be as good of an actor off camera being the reader as the person is on camera. And the camera interacts with sound just the way it interacts with picture. And if someone's off camera and they're doing a really good job of acting to help the other person, they're going to be distracting. They're going to be distracting. I don't care how brilliant they're being. They're going to be distracting from the person on camera. So I'll always tell them to half calf it. Half calf it, where you're not trying to be quite so intense. And when I was doing this the other day and there was somebody and I could hear that the other person was on a phone, I started to think about it and I thought, you can't be so expressive. You have to be less expressive and neutral. Not that you're going to be a bad reader, but you're just not going to have as much fun acting as the person who's actually there to be on camera. But I thought one of the things that is pronounced about it is the person is very expressive on camera, and so we pick up on it. It draws attention to the fact that it's on a phone because they're so expressive. So you don't want to come at somebody and say, "How are you?" On camera, that would be just too much. You want to be, "How are you?" And it won't feel like an Academy Award-winning performance to the reader, but it's not supposed to. So I think you just have to minimalize the expressiveness of it and keep things as neutral as possible, because the phone will amplify everything. So right away, we're going to know we're on a phone, but we'll quickly forget about the phone if it's not upstaging the actor whose audition it is. Right away, we'll pick up, okay, someone's doing the phone again, but we'll let it go right away and forget about it if the person off camera who's on the phone is more neutral and less expressive. And I'm not talking flat and boring. I'm just talking less expressive.
Right, I understand that. That's actually really good advice. That makes sense. Because I know it's really, I've listened to these, I watch them on Instagram and so forth, like what you're seeing, and some of them you're like, whoa, and so that would help. I think I agree with you. Just kind of not, just remember you're just the reader. Mary always tells me you're just the reader, Peggy. Just read.
And Peggy wants to go and improve her chops.
So, well, sometimes I feel like because I feel like, well, I'm not an actor, so I want to try to make sure I'm helping. And he's like, I don't need your help. I just need you to read the words. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And that's, I think, on the phone, even more so than anything, is to remember that. That's really, really good.
Yeah, because it'll just draw more attention to itself.
Because you're already hearing the difference in the sound quality and level because it's coming from a phone. So it already catches your attention. So it needs to just be played down a bit.
Right, and you'll not stop thinking about it if someone's doing a great job of acting and expressing themselves, and it's got that phone quality to it. You want to take away as much as possible from that phone, from that phone quality.
That's as always great advice, John. It's always so fun to chat with you. I always love the points that you bring up.
Oh, I always have a blast talking to you too.
Is there anything else we should talk about before we call it?
No, I think we're good. I think next time I'll come on with just a few of my clever actor tips, and I'll just give a list of clever actor tips for actors, that make something cinematically powerful on camera.
That's a great idea. I was going to put you on the spot and say, okay, what's my quote for the day? But the second you came on camera, you told me a joke. So I was like, well, that's almost more fun than the quote of the day. That was a good joke. It was a good joke. I'm going to use that.
I was proud of that one. When I wrote that one, I was very proud of that one. And it's a joke from my book here. How to steal the scene and end up playing the lead.
So all of my viewers by now should already own your book, but just in case they don't, I'm going to put a link in the bio so they can grab it, because now they can get a paperback version.
Oh, sure.
And they can also still get the
Yes, absolutely both. Yeah.
Either one.
And it's not a book you read, it's a book you use. It's 25 techniques to make the actor's process work on camera. So it's exactly what we're talking about. Because when I wrote it, this same theme was running through my head, which is they're wonderful, they've got a great process, they have no idea how to make it work on camera. And so I'm going to come up with a list of techniques that if they just apply this and apply that, it makes them, it'll make their process work on camera. So a lot of actors and directors even, find it very effective. I tell actors all the time, the 7 words they've never heard in acting class are, and here's why it works on camera. Because it wasn't designed to work on camera.
Right.
It's their process, and it's a brilliant process. But by itself, it wasn't designed for the camera, which is a lot of the reason a lot of actors hate it. So anyway, yeah, that's just a book of techniques that they can apply to their actor process to create cinematic power on camera.
I'm the type of learner that I like to look at things. I like to write my own notes and doodle on my own things. And this is that kind of a book. It's the kind of book that you write notes on. It's the kind of book you use. It's not the kind of book you read and put up on the shelf for decoration. It's something you actually use and apply. So
when I set out to write it, I researched. There were 1,500 books on acting.
Wow.
I thought I'm not going to do another theory book. At this point, anyway, maybe there's one. Well, I know there's one in the planning stages. But at that point, I thought I'm not going to do another book on theory. I want something very practical. I want a playbook that people can pull out of their back pocket and just say, how do I do this? How do I do that? And apply it. And the fact that it's called How to Steal the Scene and End Up Playing the Lead, I'm not advocating that someone steal the scene. But I'm not promising it won't happen if you use the book and the techniques in it.
And you're still doing Zoom classes right now?
Yes, I am. I'm doing 3 Zoom classes a week.
Perfect. So I'm going to put all your ways to get a hold of you in the links below. So get a hold of John. I mean, he's a great resource. I, again, love having him on the show, love talking to him. I think that he looks at things from a director's point of view, a camera's point of view, which I think is why you and I connect, is because, you know, I've looked through a camera my whole life as well, and so I see things a little differently, which you as an actor need to realize that's how you need to think, because that's what's going to get you, you know, that extra little boost.
And because they're auditioning for the job of a filmmaker.
Exactly.
That's really what they're doing.
Exactly. You're telling your story through a camera, so you need to know what that looks like, telling your story through the lens of the camera. Absolutely. John, thank you so much, and I will see you back here next month, and I will see all of you next week. So everyone have a great week, and make sure you follow John on all of his social media, follow me, and have an amazing week. We'll see you.